Okay, students, we'll start with the elementary properties of probability. The first property states that probability of A bar is equal to 1 minus probability of A. If we take any event A, then A bar is an event which is called as the complement of event A, or something in layman terms it's called not an A. That is, if we take an example, the experiment of rolling of a die, there are 6 outcomes. Out of that, let's say event A states that 4 is showing on the die. Okay, so if A is a 4, then A bar is going to be either a 1 showing, or a 2 showing, or a 3 showing, or a 5 showing, or a 6 showing. So all the other events except 4, it will be called as A bar. So we can express the complete sample space S in this particular case 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 as the union of two mutually exclusive events A and A bar. A is 4 in our case, in our example, and A bar is 1, 2, 3, 5 and 6. So together A plus A bar will make up the complete sample space capital S. So S is equal to A plus A bar. Now this is the proof for that particular property. So if S is equal to A plus A bar, okay, we can use the axiom 3, which states that two mutually exclusive events, if we take it as A and B, then probability of A plus B is probability of A plus probability of B. So in this particular case, probability of S, which is equal to probability of A plus A bar, okay, so it's going to be probability of A plus probability of A bar. So P of S is equal to P of A plus P of A bar. Now you use the axiom 1, which states that the probability of complete sample space is equal to 1. So P of S is equal to 1. If we substitute that over here, we get 1 is equal to P of A plus P of A bar. So we get the result P of A bar is equal to 1 minus P of A. Then there's the second property, which states that if we have m mutually exclusive events, that is A1, A2 till Am, have the exhaustive property, that is A1 plus A2 plus A3 plus till Am is the complete sample space S, then probability of A1 plus probability of A2 plus probability of A3 plus all these things till probability of Am, that is the last event, is equal to 1. For example, let's take the same example, rolling of a die. Okay, then there are 6 mutually exclusive events, probability of 1, probability of 2, probability of 3 occurring, probability of 4, probability of 5 and probability of 6. So in this particular case, we have 6 events, probability A1, 6 sample points basically. So if we take an event A1 as probability of 1 occurring, A2 as probability of 2 occurring, and so on and so forth, these are the events. Then we have the complete property, that is probability of 1 occurring plus probability of 2 occurring plus probability of 3 occurring. Okay, together if we add all these probabilities, it's going to make up the complete sample space, and total probability is going to be a sure event, that is 1. So either we are going to get a 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6. So total all the probabilities is going to be made up as equal to 1. Now we have taken an example in which all the probabilities are equal, but even though if the probabilities are not equal, each of the probabilities are, let's say, different. For example, if we have some particular events, one probability of one event is 0.2, other probability is 0.4, other probability is 0.3, okay, and the last probability is 0.1. So 0.2 plus 0.3 plus 0.4 plus 0.1 will make up equal to 1. Together it's going to be equal to 1. So there's a simple proof for this. We generalize our axiom 3. Okay, in our axiom 3 we had taken only two elements, two events, that is probability of A plus B. We had called it as, if there are two mutually exclusive events, we had said that probability of A plus B is equal to P of A plus P of B. Now if we take many number of mutually exclusive events, that is m number of mutually exclusive events, then probability of A1 plus A2 plus till Am is going to be equal to probability of A1 plus probability of A2 plus probability of A3 and so on and so forth till probability of Am. Then using the complete axiom 1, we state that the m mutually exclusive events are making up the complete sample space, that is A1 plus A2 plus A3 till Am is equal to capital S, that is complete sample space. So probability of A1 plus A2 plus till Am is equal to probability of sample space S is equal to 1. Therefore, probability of A1 plus probability of A2 plus till probability of Am will be equal to 1. So this is the simple proof for it. we generalize this when there are m events for the same property, when the m events are equally likely. For the rolling of the die example, for example, then they have equal probabilities. If they are equally likely, they will be having equal probabilities. Then probability of ai is going to be equal to 1 upon m, I going from 1 2 till m. For example, in our case we had 6 outcomes, okay, 1 2 3 4 5 or 6. So each of the event is going to have a probability 1 by 6. So it is likely 1 by 6 is the probability that 1 will occur. Similarly, 1 by 6 is going to be the probability that a 4 will occur. Similarly, 1 by 6 is the probability that a 6 will occur, and so on and so forth. Okay, so here m, for our example, m was equal to 6. So probability of any event occurring, if they are equally likely, then it's going to be equal to 1 upon m. Then the third property states that when events A and B are not mutually exclusive, then the probability of the union event, that is A or B, equals P of A plus B is equal to P of A plus P of B minus P of AB. This we had explained yesterday. Whenever they are not mutually exclusive, whenever there is something in common between the two events, we had taken an example of an even number and a prime number yesterday on rolling of a die experiment. So an even number consisted of 2 4 6 and a prime number consisted of 2 3 5. 2 was being common between A and B. Okay, so similarly in this particular case, probability of A plus B is going to be addition of the two probabilities, probability of A plus probability of B, but that common part which is there appears twice, so we had to subtract it. So minus probability of A dot B was subtracted. So here in this particular case, we'll define that probability of A dot B as the probability of a joint event, that is both A is also occurring and B is also occurring in that particular case. For example, for number 2 was an even number as well as a prime number. Okay, so probability of it was a probability of both the events of the joint event A and B. So this probability is called as the joint probability. So joint probability can be defined in terms of normal probability definition as probability of A dot B is equal to limit as n tends to infinity NAB divided by n, where NAB denotes the number of times the events A and B are occurring simultaneously in n number of trials of the experiment. Next, we move on to the conditional probability. Now, suppose we perform an experiment that involves two events, a pair of events A and B. Then P of B by A denotes the probability of event B given that event A has already occurred. Okay, for example, let's take an event A that it is raining outside with some probability. It's going to rain outside with some particular probability, let's say 30% chance, and probability B states that you need to go outside for some work. Okay, with that's also with some probability. So probability of you going outside depends on the forecast of rain, that is how much chance there is that it's going to rain. So probability of event B occurring depends on probability of event A in this particular case. So in such cases, probability is called as conditional probability. So probability of B given A, you read it as B by A is read as probability of B given that an event A has occurred. So probability of B by A is called as the conditional probability of B given A. So assuming that P of A is some non-zero probability, P of B by A is usually defined by, it's called as Bayes rule, and it's given by P of B by A is given by P of AB, that is joint probability of A and B occurring together divided by probability of A. So there is a simple proof for this. Let NAB denote the number of times the joint event AB occurs in n number of trials. Okay, that is both event A is occurring as well as event B is occurring. Suppose that in the same number of trials, n number of trials, event A is occurring NA number of times. Okay, and since the joint event AB corresponds to both A and B occurring, it follows that you can easily see that NA must include n of AB. Okay, so NAB divided by NA, okay, it's going to be less than 1 because NAB is smaller and NA is going to be a larger number. So NAB divided by NA represents the relative frequency B given that A has already occurred. Okay, so for a large number of n, if we limit that n to if we take it as infinity, for a large number of n, the ratio NAB by NA equals the conditional probability, that is P of b by a. So p of b by a is limit as n tends to infinity nab divided by na. That is the relative frequency approach of conditional probability b by a. Okay, now if we divide by n for both numerator as well as denominator, if we divide by n, that is limit n tends to infinity nab divided by n, okay, then divided by na divided by n. Now limit n tends to infinity nab divided by n is given by probability of ab both occurring, so that is probability of ab. Okay, similarly limit n tends to infinity na by n is probability of a occurring, so p of a. So p of b by a is given by p of ab divided by p of a. That's the simple proof over here. Okay, now similarly probability, this is probability of b given a. Similarly, if we have probability of a given b, if we have an event a which is dependent on event b, then we have p of a by b. So if p of a b is given by p of b by a and dot p of a as explained in this particular case. Similarly, we will be having probability of a b, that is the joint probability, will be given by probability of a by b dot p of b. So using these two equations, we will be having p of b by a dot p of a, that is multiplication, dot is multiplication over here, is equal to p of ab dot p of b. So p of b by a is p of a by b, that is a given b, dot pb, that is multiplication by pb divided by p of a. This is the special form of the Bayes rule over here. Okay, next we move on to statistically independent events. That is, if the events are not conditional, they are not dependent on each other, they are called as statistically independent events. So if a and b are two events possible for an experiment, and occurrence of some event b does not depend on occurrence of event a, or a is not dependent on b, b is not dependent on a, then these events are called as statistically independent events. Now since the occurrence of b does not depend on event of a, we have p of b given a will be just called as p of probability of b, that is p of b. So if we take the previous case, the conditional probability equation, that is special form of Bayes rule, and we write it as p of ab, that is joint probability, is equal to p of b by a dot p of a, then p of b by a is nothing but p of b. Okay, so probability of a into b, that is joint probability of a and b occurring, is given by p of a dot p of b, that is multiplication of the individual probabilities. So joint probability for a statistical independent event is nothing but multiplication of their individual probabilities. Okay, so similarly p of b by a we have written as p of b. So similarly we can write p of a given b as probability of a. With this we have finished the basic probability concepts. From the next class we'll